Welcome to the Small Business Contracts Coach.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Small Business Contracts Coach with attorney Darryl Shaper of the fixed fee law firm PLLC. Darryl focuses on helping Texas small businesses review and draft contracts clearly, efficiently, and at a fixed price so there are no billing surprises. I'm Sean O'Connor, and today we're talking about non-disclosure agreements. Darryl's going to go over when they actually protect your business and when they may not do much at all. So let's get right into it. When do you need an NDA? When does it make sense? Darryl, what is an NDA designed to do, and what is it designed not to do?
Well, it's designed to protect somebody's confidential information or trade secrets. So it is the most commonly signed contract in the United States of America. NDAs fly around by the hundreds or thousands every single day, and they're frankly overused. It is a very unimportant, insignificant document. I literally charge $149 to review a non-disclosure agreement because they're so simple and they often aren't important at all. Further, they're extremely infrequently enforced because there are all these exceptions to the rules about what you can disclose that are typically included. Like if I found out the information from somewhere else, or if I already knew it, or a court makes me disclose it. And so determining if I found out the information somewhere else, which is what I'm going to claim, but if I inadvertently disclose that, becomes a matter that has to go all the way to court because it's a matter of fact. And so they can be super expensive to enforce. So they're almost, I think of them more as a reminder. Hey, as a reminder, I'm going to tell you some stuff that's confidential. I just want you to remember, I'd really appreciate it if you'd keep it confidential.
Yeah. Well, are there scenarios when a business is, they have a need to share information with a contractor or a vendor, maybe a partner? How do they know whether an NDA is truly necessary? Because I've got to imagine there would be a time when you really want to get that in writing.
In general, what I would say is if you are concerned, if you don't trust the other counterparty, or you really are disclosing something that you think is super duper secret, then get an NDA. And they're relatively easy, relatively short documents. So even though I say they're overused, I encourage you to get one signed, get a form of mutual non-disclosure agreement that you're comfortable with, that you can use for your business, and use it when you think you're disclosing confidential information. But they're probably still somewhat overused. Like, hey, we're having this conversation today. We're talking about legal issues. I might be telling you some unique way that I practice law, but I didn't get an NDA with you, and I don't think I needed one.
No. Well, we got a friend NDA.
Sean, one thing that I would want to say is I almost view NDAs as a way to show that you're easy to do business with. So very frequently before any meeting between two companies, one company is going to send over their NDA to the other company before the meeting. If you turn that around quickly without a whole bunch of markup, I think it demonstrates good faith and that you're easy to do business with. So that's what I try to do with my clients, is turn them fast.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I've been in that scenario. It's like, okay, A, you can trust me. B, I'm happy to sign this NDA. I can't imagine, the stakes. I'm not in rocket science, there's no state secrets that you're sharing with me. So,
and most of us are good humans, right?
Yeah.
If somebody tells us what their private financial revenue is for their company and they're not a public company, we understand that's probably confidential information, and we're not going to go talk about that or put that on LinkedIn, right? It's kind of common sense. don't disclose confidential information out there in the world.
Yeah, have some integrity, man. You mentioned a moment ago mutual NDAs, and I'm assuming there's also one-way NDAs. Um, but what's the difference, and when does that distinction matter?
If somebody asks me for a one-way NDA, that's a little bit of a yellow flag. It's
Ah,
like, hey, we're going into a meeting. You think you're going to only be the only one who talks about confidential information, and you want me to sign an NDA that says I'm not going to disclose your confidential information, but you don't have enough respect for me that you're going to give me the same rights? I view that as a little bit,
hmm,
you should view that as a little bit of a yellow flag, unless, they're a giant corporation and it's just their bureaucracy working.
yeah,
But if it's between two, legit companies, it should be mutual every time.
yeah. Like it's often in that context, it's not personal. In the big corporations, just it's the form they have, probably.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, what types of information should be clearly defined in an NDA so there's no confusion, about what is confidential, what should get included.
Trade secrets, financial information, client lists, vendor lists. These are typically the things that are in confidential information.
Hmm.
But again, this isn't the world's most important document. And uh, there are standard definitions of what is confidential information, or frankly, ChatGPT can draft you a good definition of confidential information. If you have something that's really unique to your particular business, it's a aerospace engineering company and the thrust data on your jet engines. You could list that too. But in
Right.
general, it's going to be standard financial supplier, client, customer
Yeah.
list.
Mission critical stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a tendency for some small business owners to assume that an NDA guarantees protection. And I'm curious, where do expectations tend to get unrealistic about what an NDA can actually accomplish?
Yeah. So again, it's back to what we were talking about a little bit before. Are you really, let's say again, you and I go into a meeting and we have a meeting and I tell you the revenue number for my law firm, which I consider confidential and I don't want to get out there. And I find out that you disclose this to somebody else and I'm not happy about it. Am I really going to sue you because you disclose the revenue of my law? You got to really think a lawsuit is going to cost you, even in small claims court, minimum $10,000, right? If it has to go very far, it quickly gets to $50,000, $100,000. So somebody disclosing my confidential information needs to be a $50,000 or $100,000 problem before I'm actually going to sue them to try to do it. You can also get an injunction. So usually in there, if they're repeatedly disclosing information about you that you don't want disclosed, you can in an NDA usually go to a court and get a cease and desist
Mhm.
injunction against them to stop
Got it.
doing it. But even that's going to cost you some money.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think
it's
people are over optimistic about the enforceability of an NDA.
yeah, and the example you mentioned with the revenue, it's my question is, okay, whoops, I shouldn't have done that, but what's the actual harm that you incurred? Perhaps not much.
Exactly. You're exactly right. And realistically, even if somebody discloses something pretty confidential, like back to our Jetta example, like the drawings for how it's done, how many people actually understand it? How broadly was it disclosed? And how deep are the actual damages?
Is my
Are
mother-in-law really going to build a rocket engine in her kitchen? I don't, not going to
Yep.
happen.
Most people don't have the capital resources to go execute against the drawing, so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. Well, I want to, because obviously, I mean, not obviously, but so often we can talk for a long time about all this. But I want to go to, if someone already has a template NDA that they're using, maybe they've been using it for years, and I don't know if that matters in terms of legal changes, but what are a few areas worth reviewing to make sure it still fits their business today? Is that something that should be periodically reviewed, or is it set it and forget it? What's your take on that?
Well, two things. Number one is if they want me to review their custom NDA or get them an NDA that's pretty good, I can do that. As I said, $149 I review NDAs for, because they're so simple. They're usually 2 or 3 pages, very consistent. And at one point, I tried to create an engine that did lots of NDA work, but most businesses get comfortable with their NDA pretty quickly and they don't need a lawyer involved. So that's number one. Number two is that there's a hot tip, great tool that I highly recommend for almost every company called onenda.org. So go to onenda.org and you can download for free their NDA template there. And literally hundreds of lawyers got together across the world and built this template, and many big companies use it. And it's simple, it's excellent. There are only like 4 variables on there. You put in the names of the parties, you put in the purpose of the NDA, you put in the state of the law that should be governing the NDA, and you put in
timeline.
The time and whether you want it to be mediation and arbitration or the courts. That's it. Those are your only choices, and boom, you've got a perfect, really well-written NDA for free.
Oh my God. And that's just a great place to leave it right now. Not super interesting. Great talking to you, Darryl.
Yeah, great talking to you as well. And I hope we help people. Like my goal is not to make tons of money. I'm giving you a free resource to get your NDAs done. I want to help small businesses reduce friction, move faster, make more money.
Well, that's worthy work. And that wraps up this episode of the Small Business Contracts Coach. And if you're a Texas small business owner and you like what you heard here, and you need help with NDAs or some other contractual issues, get in touch with Darryl. He reviews and drafts agreements at a fair price. You can learn more at fixedfeelawfirm.com. And of course, if you found this helpful, please be sure to like, subscribe to the show, tell your friends and colleagues, and leave a review. I'm Sean O'Connor. Have a great day. See you, Darryl.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.